Hello everyone, Cable Sports Guy here today, and this week of the NFL season was an intense one from start to finish. So I look to show off and recap this week in the most precise and correct way I can. I'll be breaking up the games into 6 different sections. The meaningless games, aka the games that have little to no implications on the playoffs, the AFC South battle, which is really simple, the confusing fight of the AFC number 1 seed, which has gotten way too complicated, the AFC wildcard fight, really straightforward, the NFC number 1 seed that honestly should have ended about 2 weeks ago, and finally, the NFC wildcard spot, which is a conundrum of its own. Now that we have what our categories are and what we need to focus on, let's jump straight into the games. The Saints and Panthers game is what everybody expected out of it. Pretty much just the battle of the two teams that could not stop Tom Brady and the Buccaneers from coming back on them. And it was pretty much a battle of who could get second in the NFC South. And honestly, early in this game, it seemed like New Orleans was just going to run away with one. Their defense was playing spectacular as they had for majority of the second half of the season. And the Panthers' great offense was inconsistent and not able to get things going against the Saints. When Sam Darnold threw a pick towards the end of the first half, you thought, okay, this just seems like the Saints are going to run away with it. And then Matthew returned it really well and put the Saints in great position to maybe kick a field goal. And then Dalton slung one out, and the Saints just fumbled. So anytime it seemed like the Panthers gave the Saints an opportunity to just increase their lead, the Saints just crapped all over the opportunity and gave the ball right back to Carolina in obscene fashion. I just didn't get it. And then there was other points of the game where it seemed like New Orleans should be able to slow down Carolina and stop them, but they just weren't able to, which resulted in a Sam Darnold touchdown run that tied the game at 7. The Saints were just making weird mistakes that they haven't made in the past, in these past few weeks, and it should have resulted in them winning. And then the game kind of came a snooze fest, and then Darnold throws an interception to the Saints, and you would think, okay, the interception seals the deal for New Orleans. All they got to do is run some clock off and get the game going, which it looks like they're going to do. Taysom Hill takes the ball, and he's going to knock a couple seconds off the clock, get the clock chewed out. But then, obviously, the Panthers use a timeout, and Dalton throws deep trying to go for a touchdown and almost throws a pick. That didn't make sense. But now you're going to get Will Lutz on the field, and that's a sure-footed kicker right there. So what does he do? Does he A, make it, B, make it, or C, make it? Let's see. And here we go. He missed? That wasn't part of the script. The Saints were supposed to win. But it's okay. They're going to sack Darnold, and we're going to go to overtime, right? We're going to get overtime. Why does Darnold have so much room? Why are you letting Darnold run? Why are they getting into field goal range? What is happening? Now Eddie Pinheiro has a 42-yard attempt. New Orleans, don't you dare tell me you messed this up. Oh my God. They did. The Panthers win, and Steve Wilks is safe for another day. Vikings versus the Bears. The Vikings come into this game. They can't move at all. However, it is somewhat important as the Bears, if they were to lose and the Texans won somehow, the Bears would get the first pick in the draft. But this game quickly turned into a Vikings, let's redeem ourselves from last week against Green Bay. Vikings just needed a confidence booster of a game, I feel like. And that's exactly what the Bears provided for them. Just a game where the Vikings come in, get some reps in, get points on the board, and get confidence back. And it's easy to build confidence when you're playing Nathan Peterman, who was the Bears starting quarterback for this game, as Justin Fields is out with a hip injury. The Bears decided to sit him to avoid him further damaging anything and to be ready for next season as much as he can be. Decided to rest him here. The Bears have an important offseason coming up where they need to get ready to build around Justin Fields and everything if they want to be ready for next season. But the Vikings luckily didn't give their fans any reason to worry besides their colossal loss to Green Bay. But as long as the Vikings don't have to do that again, I think the Vikings should be safe. Nathan Peterman does connect with Cole Kmet for one touchdown in this game. Kirk Cousins played solid for the little bit of time he played. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he left right after the first half when the second half started and the Vikings brought their backups in. But this game was pretty straightforward. We knew the Vikings were going to win coming into it, and the Bears were probably going to lose. The only thing that makes any sense in this one is if the Texans somehow colossally failed and beat Indianapolis, the Bears would get the number 1 pick in the draft. But the Texans can't falter that bad, right? Right? turns out the Texans can mess up their own tank, and they did. In this game against Indianapolis, all the Texans had to do was lose, and they couldn't even do that. I get Davis Mills trying to save his job, but let's be honest here, man. The job was never saved. You already knew that the Texans were going to draft quarterback with their pick, whether it's number 1 or number 2. And Lovie Smith, unfortunately for him, this win, in my opinion, might have just cost him his job, and it pretty much did because he got fired later the same night. Lovie Smith is no longer the coach of the Houston Texans, and he is out. And it really does not help. And the fact that the Colts pretty much just try to keep giving the Texans opportunity to lose this game is just what irritates me. And now it just goes to show that the Texans just can't get anything, it seems. Texans lose their perfect tank. It's broken. And even like Sam Ehlinger, he struggled and made bad decisions, and that really hurt the Colts. But he was probably their best option, and that's even worse to think about. The Colts did play a solid game and took the lead and got it back into their grasp, but they just made way too many errors. And then Atkins had the game of a life, getting the clutch touchdown, getting the 2-point conversion. I'm pretty sure he had another touchdown early in the game, and the Colts just could not do anything right, it seemed like, and the Texans just kept succeeding when they didn't need to. They held the lead majority of the game, and then I just didn't get the call to go for it late in the game, and just time and time again, the Colts just kept trying to run back, and then they shot themselves in the foot, and it's 100% proven now. The only team that could have ruined the Texans' perfect tank is the Texans. Because why not? The Texans have been a fire hole of an organization ever since the debacle with Bill O'Brien and Deshaun Watson and trading DeAndre Hopkins. And it continues here. And the people that might be asking, well, it doesn't matter if they lost the first pick. They still have the second pick. Here's why it matters. So, if it's not obvious already, the Bears. By the way, congratulations, Bears, on getting the first pick in the draft. Boom, there's your congratulations. However, the Texans now have put themselves into a vulnerable spot where pretty much anybody can now trade above them and get the quarterback that the Texans might want, which really hurts Houston. So now we'll have to see how everything plays out. But the Texans ruin the perfect tank, and the Colts actually get a better pick because of it too. So everything's coming together for Indianapolis. So the Texans really just messed themselves here in this transaction of a deal. And the Texans, unfortunately, ruin it themselves. The Bucs and the Falcons had a great game on Sunday, except they really didn't. The only thing that surprised me about this game is why did they have Brady on the field for as long as he was on there? I didn't expect Brady to even play in this game, and if he did play, maybe a quarter. But when you know you can't move up or down, why would you play your starters? Have them rest for a little bit and give them the most rest they can get before they go and play Dallas here in a week. Now, the plus side for Tampa Bay is that, hey, you've already beaten this opponent. But the downside is you finish 8-9, and teams that historically have a losing record going to the playoffs have won a wild card game besides the Commanders, but they don't really get far. Also, Russell Gage's injury that was just on screen, that's another reason why you don't play your starters that late into a game. But the Falcons do get a huge victory that kind of just propels them a little bit. In a game that's another case of trying to start your starters when you don't need to. The Chargers played their starters in the first quarter, and luckily no injuries here, but the Chargers got out to an early lead, and they kind of looked like they were going to run away with this one. However, Denver broke out all the stops. Jerry Jeudy was amazing in this game and showed a ton of potential going into the next season. And Russell Wilson looked a little vintage in some cases in today's game. An amazing game, honestly, from the Broncos, and it kind of just goes to show, hey, this team could be pretty decent next year with some good coaching. Obviously, you're playing the Chargers second stringers in the second half pretty much, but you kept pace with them while they had their starters in there. And I have to say I was very impressed with what I saw out of Denver today and what I saw out of all of them. Wilson threw some really good passes and looked solid. And honestly, if Denver can figure out the coaching situation for next year and get a solid coach in here, that can turn this organization around. The Broncos are in decent hands, honestly, with the team they have. Need to build a couple pieces here and there, just get a little more solidified on defense, maybe get more protection for Wilson because it was not a great offensive line. However, just do that, and the Broncos could be a playoff caliber team. Now, for the Chargers, you're looking for the playoffs next week, and you got to be ready for anything and everything. This game might have not mattered to you guys, but hey, you want to keep momentum, and losing to a division rival isn't the best way. But then again, like I said, bench their starters in the second half. So you give and you take, and here the Chargers do take the loss, but they are in the playoffs, obviously. Big thing for Los Angeles to bounce back after the disappointment that was the end of last season when they should have just tied with the Raiders and gone to the playoffs. Chargers rebound, go to the playoffs after a terrible start to the season as well, and the Broncos finish 5-12 and give the Seahawks a little bit of a worse pick. So for this game, end of the season for the Broncos, but a good showing to end their season. Now we're getting into the good stuff. The AFC South championship matchup. Whoever wins it gets the AFC South title, and the Titans came out guns a-blazing. They went with Josh Dobbs, as obviously Ryan Tannehill was not ready to go in this game. But miscues and just weird plays, like what was that right there? A forward lateral, obviously that's a flag, and just the weirdest things were going on in this game. Trevor Lawrence seemed off in the first half, missing some throws. He hits that one right there. But on other plays, it just didn't look like the Jags we were accustomed to on offense at times. They would get good drives going, then they do something crazy like the pitch play, where why do you have Trevor Lawrence, a 6'6 quarterback, trying to pitch to a 5'10 running back, Jamal Agnew? I don't get it. Derrick Henry was phenomenal in the ground game again. That's what you would expect from King Henry. And he was honestly the biggest offensive factor, and he, just took down Jenkins right there, just showing off the hammer. But I was just honestly shocked they didn't hand the ball off. However, Josh Dobbs didn't look terrible finding his tight end right there. Cannot pronounce his last name for the life of me, so I'm not going to try to. But the Titans jumped out to an early 10-0 lead. But on the next drive, Trevor Lawrence tried to get something going. And it was just crazy because I didn't think the Jaguars would get anything going before the second half. The way their offense just stalled out when they got to their side of the field. However, Lawrence did eventually find Christian Kirk for a touchdown and got the Jaguars back into the game. But with the AFC South on the line, the Titans, Mike Vrabel and the Titans, they like to stiffen up and play hardball. And they continue to do that. And Lawrence, like I said, was missing just throws that didn't make sense to miss. And they had to keep bringing field goals. In this game for a second, it looked like it was just going to be trading field goals. As each team traded field goals, kept it at a 6-point game on ensuing drives. And the Jaguars just kept shooting themselves in the foot when I feel like they should have had touchdowns. Like right here, that should be a good throw by Lawrence, but instead it's a field goal again for Jacksonville. I didn't understand some of the throws that Lawrence was making and the fact that the Jaguars' offense was so stagnant when they've been so electric at times this year. But obviously the big play of the game is right here when Jenkins hit Dobbs late in the fourth quarter and got the strip sack. And a lot of people that said, oh, maybe it wasn't a strip sack, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. Look at it again. Look at his hand. That ball is clearly out. No tuck rule. And the Titans, hey, you guys don't have to go through the first round disappointment because you guys didn't even get there. Tennessee, this is you guys' division to win, and you guys didn't win it. Congratulations, Jacksonville. Enjoy the wild card week. Now the battle for the AFC's number 1 seed that got very convoluted after last Monday night. It gets very simple on one aspect, though. If the Chiefs win, they get the 1 seed. And luckily for the Chiefs, they were getting the Las Vegas Raiders without Derek Carr. If this Raiders team had Derek Carr, I would have said the Raiders had a shot. However, this game became just a masterclass of Chiefs football in the first half, where all the Chiefs did was just get it to the goal line and just get it into the end zone. Did it twice, went up 14-3, and the Raiders just could not execute. I can only imagine how this game would have gone if it was Derek Carr instead of Jarrett Stidham. Stidham wasn't awful, but he just can't make the throws that Carr was able to make, and it was very apparent in this game in which the Chiefs just absolutely throttled Las Vegas and sent them home packing. For the Raiders, you got Josh McDaniels, you got pieces, but you got a lot of questions to answer. You have people that might be interested in your team, like a Tom Brady or anything next year, or looking at Jimmy Garoppolo maybe to fit McDaniel's scheme and system. But you guys got to figure things out, and you got to figure out one thing, and that's how to please Davante Adams with a guaranteed quarterback change on the way. The Chiefs, however, they sheer up the 1 seed, Now, pending how everything else falters into place, depends on, is it the AFC Championship game? If it goes down to Chiefs versus Bills or Chiefs versus Bengals, is it a neutral site or not? Well, let's go find out. While this game does not mean anything for the AFC North anymore, as the Bengals won it last week due to everything that happened on Monday nights, it still matters for one thing. The Ravens could still get a home playoff game if they won this game, and if the Chargers win and the Ravens won a coin toss. Well, we know the Chargers lost to Denver, so that doesn't make any difference. And even if the Chargers won, the Bengals came out and dominated Baltimore. Baltimore, you've got to get these injuries and hope they are figured out by next week, because you're going against Cincinnati, and these Bengals are hungry. I think this Bengals unit is better than the unit they had last year, and it's because the offensive line's better. I think they upgraded the tight end position, and the Bengals are going to be a scary team to face in the playoffs. When Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase are connecting like this consistently, it's not going to be fun, and I can almost say with confidence, if Lamar Jackson's not back for Baltimore next week, don't be shocked if the Bengals do exactly what they did this week, next week in Cincinnati. For the Ravens, they just got to figure things out. They played Huntley. They played Anthony Brown. Neither guy did better than the other, I feel like. And while the Ravens were able to get some points to the board, it didn't matter when they finally started scoring because they just kept miscues, like the fumble in the end zone, which the Bengals scored off of right here, actually. And the Ravens just kept shooting themselves in the foot and never could really recover. It was just an honestly disappointing game for Baltimore. And it's disappointing because early in the season, with how they were playing, they should have easily been won this division, but they just kept making mistakes. And it really stinks, and it really hurts the Ravens' morale going into the playoffs. And it's really going to stink knowing that who knows if Lamar's going to be, even if it plays 100% for that playoff game. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these next few weeks go, but we'll see how everything falters out when we get the game next week. Congratulations, Cincinnati, though, on getting home field against the Ravens. Now, this game was a big talking point, as obviously it's the first game back since Damar Hamlin's injury, but it's beautiful how this game started. Even as a Patriots fan, I gotta say, even though I knew this was probably the beginning of the end for us, I loved seeing that the Bills returned this kick. It was everything the city of Buffalo needed after everything that happened Monday. And at the time of recording this video, Damar Hamlin has been released from this University of Cincinnati hospital. So great news there. However, for this game, there's a playoff spot on the line. It's the wild card spot. It's simple. New England wins, they're into the playoffs. They lose, they need Pittsburgh and Miami to both lose to go to the playoffs. And the Patriots, early in this game, actually kept it really close. I was very impressed with how the Patriots offense played, and they didn't really falter. It was really interesting because it makes me wonder, man, what would have happened if the Pats offense played like this all season instead of just this point of the year? But, however, the Bills offense was just as good, and Josh Allen was connecting with all of his favorite targets, finding Dawson Knox for a touchdown, and just finding everybody he needed to find, Isaiah McKenzie, Stephon Diggs. They were all making big plays. However, the Pats defense showed up big too, making Josh Allen's life miserable at times. And Mac Jones played one of his best games of his career when it mattered most, but unfortunately, just circumstances just kind of kept him out. But he kept connecting with his receivers well. Devontae Parker had probably his best game since joining the Patriots. But the Patriots just did not need to make mistakes. Though they created mistakes, and Josh Allen, you don't see him usually throw a wobbly pass like that for a strong-arm quarterback, and it's his first interception against New England. And what I would believe, I think 3 games. But the Bills' defense kept making life difficult. And then, just when the Patriots get the 17-14 lead, Nyheim Hines goes back to work and says, Damar, this is for you, buddy. And right there, that tackle needs to be made. But Nyheim Hines, and this is about when the tide of the game shifted, and the Bills really, I feel like, took over. Because you return 1 kick, it's one thing. Return 2 kicks in 1 game, that's huge. And then Josh Allen goes full magician mode and just unleashes a long one to Brown. And honestly, the Patriots just collapsed after this. As much as they tried to keep themselves in it, it just was not enough. Jones did everything he could in this game to find his guys, finding Devontae Parker for a beautiful touchdown right there. But the Bills came ready to play, and they played great. Unfortunately, due to Monday night, they do not get the first seed. However, they do get the second seed, and pending on these games, might have just knocked New England out of the playoffs. And Mac Jones tried everything he could, but receivers couldn't hang on to the ball late, and interceptions cost the Patriots late. So, did the Patriots make it or did they not? Let's check in on the Dolphins. So now the Patriots are in. The Dolphins are playing for the 7th seed. They win, they are in. However, there's one problem. Skylar Thompson's their starting quarterback today. Instead of Tua, it's Skylar Thompson. And Joe Flacco's in instead of Mike White. So this game quickly turned into a field goal battle. Neither team could really ever have a chance of finding the end zone. Greg Zuerlein was the first one to kick, and he just barely missed it. Just barely missed it. And then Skylar Thompson tried to get the offense going, and it was just weird. This running back for the Dolphins, they usually get going, but they could not get downhill speed going. Jason Sanders does give it the Dolphins early 3-0 lead. But this game became a game of field goals, and while these two defenses are great, I didn't expect it to. I at some point expected the Dolphins just to make a big play out of nowhere, and that never happened. Jalen Waddle was phenomenal in the game, and I got to say I was very impressed by that. However, just miscues and mistakes here and there by the Dolphins kept the Jets in it, and just not being able to finish off drives where it looked like they could get points hurt the Dolphins as well. But the Jets, nonetheless, they came and played a really, really good game today, and I got to say I'm very impressed with what I saw in New York, keeping it close. But, however, while it's 6-6 right now, can the Dolphins close the deal off? Skylar Thompson right here floats one, and Waddle is just going crazy. He gets that grab. And then Skylar Thompson pretty much just got bailed out by high-end talent. It was right there. Waddle again just making plays, and the Dolphins, they've utterly collapsed. They've lost 5 in a row. But now, without Tua, they kick this field goal, and thank you, high-end talent. The Dolphins are going to the playoffs, and, of course, this is just how the Jets should end their season. A Jets team that had so much potential and, unfortunately, didn't even have a shot to make the playoffs this past week. And, of course, this is how their season ends on a terrible, terrible safety. Congratulations, Dolphins. You're 7th seed, but let's go check in and see how Pittsburgh did in general. For the Steelers, while their playoff hopes may be over, they are still fighting for one thing, and that's keeping Mike Tomlin's win season streak alive. They're going against a Browns team that's at 7-9 and trying to finish 8-9. And this game was about as I expected. The Browns came out and drove down the field well. However, the Steelers' defense made some strides as the game progressed and kept the Steelers going. And one thing I noticed in this game that you'll see in these highlights, Kenny Pickett and George Pickens, if they can develop well together, they are going to be a problem in this league, especially George Pickens. Steelers have a tendency to have some receivers have some issues, but if George Pickens keep his head on his shoulders, this guy should be perfectly fine. Boswell decided to show up for this game too, because obviously the Steelers went into this game thinking they still had a shot. Boswell was hitting field goals, and the Steelers honestly played a very impressive game. And honestly, for what I had the Steelers going in as the preseason went, I didn't have them. I had the winning record ending this year. I did not have them playing this good. So I have to say I am highly impressed with what I saw at Pittsburgh this season. And this was a game where I'm very impressed with what I saw at Pittsburgh. They ran the ball well. Pickett looked great. The defense played phenomenal. And if they can just fix a few issues, Matt Canada, then they could be really solid next year. Obviously, they're still in a very, very tough division in the AFC North. When you got a Super Bowl caliber team, 2 other really good teams that could still threaten for the division, and then obviously the Steelers, anything is possible. However, Pittsburgh played one heck of a game. While it does not result in a playoff spot for them, they did everything they possibly could to keep themselves in it. For the Cleveland Browns, this always felt like a season where they had to figure things out. So now we move over to the NFC. And the NFC's number 1 seed. It's between the Niners, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. And the Cardinals gave the Niners problems early, and A.J. Green really just turned back the clock with a touchdown grab that really set in the motion of maybe the Cardinals could do something, and then after that, it went to nothing because the Niners turned on the Jets and started dominating again. And the Niners did everything they needed to do to put themselves in a position to take the 1 seed. If the Niners want the 1 seed, all they have to do is win this game and hope that Philly loses to New York. But in this game, the Niners did everything right, took care of business. It was a little close early, but once about midway through the second quarter hit, it became nowhere near anything of a competition. The Niners ran away with this game, and the Cardinals, they just did not have any answers for San Francisco, and that's just how it is. They did not have anything to give to the Cardinals, and man, the Niners just absolutely dominated. Only thing I was questioning is why bring back Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel when they're coming back from injury. If McCaffrey's a little questionable, why play him? I get Elijah Mitchell and Deebo a little bit because you're trying to get them back under rotation. But hey, great win for the Niners. And now with this win, they have a shot at the 1 seed. So with that being said, they're really rooting for the Giants. Do the Giants pull off the upset? Let's go check it out. Well, actually, we have to make a quick detour because before we go check out Philadelphia, we got to see if they have the NFC East clinched up. And that play right there pretty much sums up the Cowboys season and how their season it might go for the playoffs. So close, but just cannot hold on to it. And the fact that the Commanders, they were playing for nothing today, and the Cowboys were playing for everything. And the Commanders dominated the Cowboys. I know the score might say one thing, but the score is one thing, and the way you watch the game is another. And the Cowboys just did not show up to play at all. The Commanders just walked the Cowboys today, and I was honestly very disappointed with how the Cowboys played. They kept it close because their defense is top end, but the offense looked terrible. And if this is how the offense is going to look here in the playoffs, I have no faith in Dallas getting far in these playoffs, especially that with this loss, they're going to get Tampa Bay and they have to travel to go play Brady and the Bucs in round one, which while they might be 8-9, it's still Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I don't want any piece of that. And man, the Cowboys, disappointing. How about them Cowboys, though? Because while they had every reason to go win this game, it doesn't matter now because they're stuck at the 5 seed because they lose. Even if the Eagles were to have lost to New York, it don't matter. They lost. They cost themselves an NFC East title. And I'm honestly extremely disappointed in Dallas in this game. So now, speaking about Philadelphia and the NFC East title, can they still hang on to the 1st seed, or will New York play spoiler? I'm just going to be blunt. There was no way the Giants were playing spoiler in this game. The Eagles were phenomenal in this one. The Giants just struggled to get off the ground. And it's not even because of that, though. It's also because they didn't play any of their offensive starters. They really just went out and said, we're going to be content with this. We're not going to try to play spoiler. We're not going to try to ruin anything. We're going to get ready for our wild card game. And I will say, I was impressed by this with New York to play all these guys and get them set up like this. Philadelphia, they came and did what they had to do. Hurts was just knocking off some of that rust, seems like. However, if it wasn't that, the Giants' defense was extremely impressive today. And I got to say, I was impressed with what I saw out of New York. And if this is the Giants' defense that can show up, we might possibly have a repeat of like a 2007-2011 season where the Giants' defense, with a decent enough offense, can carry them to a Super Bowl appearance at least. But don't count your eggs yet before they hatch because anything is still possible. The Eagles, however, they get a win. They finally clinched the NFC East and the number 1 seed in the NFC, which I still think should have been clinched a long time ago. However, the Giants did make things a problem for the Philadelphia Eagles in this game, and it obviously ends in an onside kick that goes straight to a Philadelphia player. Now, the two matchups everybody was looking forward to, Rams, Seahawks, and Packers, Lions, and it ends pretty much like this. Seahawks win. They have a shot at the playoffs if the Lions can beat the Packers. However, if the Rams win, then Lions-Packers becomes a win and in. And knowing the NFL script writers, obviously the Rams have to win this game because you can't have a game go to Lambeau without big implications. The Seahawks are obviously going to keep it close, and the Rams are going to squeak by at the last second. Just look at how this game is going. It's 3-3. The Rams are keeping close. Now it's 6-6. Neither team can get going. And, man, the script writers aren't even trying to hide it anymore. There's no way that this game should be this close between these two teams. Even right there, Tutu Atwell taking one in for the Rams. They just started running away. It was 13-6, and they still just kept holding the Seattle Seahawks offense. Even when the Seahawks made plays like this, where they could get the ball going, it always seemed like the Rams had a counterattack on defense. And this is a Rams defense without Aaron Donald, one of their best pass rushers, and he was causing problems. However, Geno Smith did not like what the scriptwriters were trying to write up, and he kept defying them. Man, the scriptwriters are going to figure something out. Oh, there we go. The Rams are going to kick a field goal. How are they going to conjure that? Well, Geno Smith says, well, if you're going to kick a field goal, I'll just try to score a touchdown. And Smith slides right there. Doesn't make a lot of sense. However, Ken Walker looks like he's going to pound it in the end zone, takes the lead, and Ramsey makes the amazing tackle. Ramsey was great in the game. I got to say, I was very impressed with Jalen Ramsey. And the Seahawks, for being one of the best red zone offense, especially that close, they just didn't get in, and they have to kick a field goal. So now with 2 minutes left, okay, scriptwriters, this is where the Rams make something crazy, and Baker Mayfield gets the nice send-off to end the year and get the Rams a nice victory, right? No, the Seahawks have the football? Wait, I could have sworn the script said the Packers-Lions was a win-and-in game for both teams tonight. That was part of the script. Geno Smith, no! What's going on? The script has to be wrong. There has to be something wrong with this script, right? There's no way. Ramsey committed the ultimate sin. The Seahawks are in field goal range. They're going to win the game. There's no way they're going to lose this. Oh, there's the script. Okay, they went to overtime. I see now. See, Geno goes full Geno. The Rams get the ball back, and Baker Mayfield's going to sail one to his perfect receiver on the sideline. Make no mistakes. Look at how wide open he is. Baker, what are you doing? He was wide open. All you have to do is lead him to the sideline, but no. Quandre Diggs jumps it and picks it off. What's going on here? Are the Seahawks about to win? I'm flabbergasted. What is going on? What's Geno going to do here? Geno's going to look and find Tyler Lockett. Now they're in field goal range. Okay, this has to be missed. Something's going to happen here, right? Right? Stop Ken Walker. Ken Walker's still going. What is happening? The Lions have to have a shot. Feel-good story. Underdog story. He has to miss. He made it. The Seahawks have a shot. What about Detroit, though? Well, because of the end of the Seahawks-Rams game, the scriptwriters made it way too obvious that they're just trying to get Aaron Rodgers into the playoffs as easy as possible. The Lions definitely have nothing to play for now. And look at Rodgers, just slinging it, getting flags in Lambeau. Instead of a win-and-in game, it's just Rodgers going to dismantle the Lions for 4 quarters, and we're going to watch Rodgers waltz into the playoffs after the Packers had a terrible start to this season. Right? Yeah, look at this. Rodgers missed an easy throw, okay? Well, Crosby's going to obviously make those field goals, and he's going to take it up 3-zip. Well, that means Jared Goff has to get something going and try to beat the Packers in Lambeau. That's not going to happen. Sure, take your 3 to Detroit. It's probably the one of the few points you get all night. Green Bay's going to get all over this because the scriptwriters made it too obvious. Why is Rodgers getting sacked by Aiden Hutchinson? Why are the Lions actually being extremely competitive? Why are they forcing field goals? Why can't the Packers finish drives? It's 6-3. What is happening? The script is all messed up. It must be just mistakes right now. It's earlier in the game, and look at Rodgers finding Robert Tonyan for magical passes. Perfection. 3rd and 5, and Rodgers gets sacked again by Aiden Hutchinson. Is there a glitch in the Matrix? Because Mason Crosby's going to... Okay, you know what? There's not a glitch. They're up 9-3. It's usual business for the Packers. They just aren't finishing drives. You know, the Lions defense is showing up, which... That's a glitch. The Lions defense, that's not part of the script either. There's supposed to be a blowout. Okay, the Lions are kicking a field goal. Okay, it's 9-6. Okay. Oh, he missed. See, part of the script. And he makes his next. Okay. So it's 9-6 going to the half. Okay, the Packers are going to wake up, though. Jared Goff slings one downfield. That's going to be picked, right? He was wide open. Oh my gosh. And then they're going to hand off to Williams, and Williams just waltzes in. The Lions are winning in the 3rd quarter? What is happening? Okay, Rodgers, this is where you wake up and tie the game up, right? Right. Allen Lazard, they take the lead back. They didn't have to tie the game up. They take the lead back. Rodgers wakes up, and Rodgers leads an impressive comeback that gets everything into motion. Jamal Williams tries to pound it in, but he's short. He doesn't get in. The Packers defense is standing tall. They won't let him into the end zone at all. Jamal Williams has no shot here. But he gets in on the next play. Okay, 5:55. This is classic Packers football. This is classic Rodgers and Lambeau making a game-winning drive to end it. See, Watson gets the first down right there. 3rd and 10. Rodgers clutch play. He goes deep and throws an errant pass that gets intercepted. What? The Lions are going to pull off the upset. Okay, the Packers have to do something here, right? He dropped that. See, there we go. Packers are going to get back going. This is the... He caught it with his legs? What's that? No, the script is wrong. Rodgers has to be in the playoffs. You can't have the playoffs without Aaron Rodgers and the Packers getting round-1-ed. Okay, 2nd and 17. Packers, you just got to end them. You got to stop them. What is that? They're moving the chains. Oh, but you stopped him short. Okay, now it's a 3rd and 3. All you got to do is force a 4th down and let him kick their 3 and score a field goal. And look what you did. You stopped him. Good job. Dan Campbell, what are you doing? Why are you going for it on 4th down? Why did the Lions convert it? Oh my gosh. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers missed the playoffs. And congratulations, Seattle. You're in. Oh my gosh. So now the playoffs are set. So let's start with setting up the bracket and how everything's going to be looking. Let's start in the AFC. At the number 1 seed is obviously the Kansas City Chiefs. In the 2 seed, the Buffalo Bills. The 3 seed is the Cincinnati Bengals. The 4 seed belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars. 5 goes to the Chargers. 6 goes to the Ravens. And 7 goes to the Miami Dolphins, with the Dolphins going to Buffalo, the Ravens going to Cincinnati, and the Chargers going to Jacksonville, with the Chiefs coming up on the bye week. Now we're going to head over to the NFC. And the NFC side of things, the Eagles get the 1 seed. The 2 seed belongs to San Francisco. The 3 seed belongs to Minnesota. The 4 goes to Tampa. The 5 goes to Dallas. The 6 goes to the New York Giants. And the 7 goes to the Seattle Seahawks in insane fashion. With Seattle, they're going to go play the Niners. The Giants are going to play the Vikings. And officially, the Cowboys are going to be playing the Buccaneers. So our playoffs are set, and that's how everything looks. If you enjoyed today's video, please go make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and remember, get ready for these playoffs because it's about to get crazy. I've been Caleb the Gamer, and I will see you all in the next one. We'll have our playoff prediction video coming out on Wednesday. See you guys then. Peace out, everybody.